Chapter 177, Silver Light Explosion. I'm ready, Mr. Wei. I am ready. Faced with Wei Dejiang's question, and Zhao Saxui and Haruji responded at the same time. Alright, then let me confirm one last time. Both of you do not need to wear any combat armor? Wei Dejiang asked again. No need. No need. At Zhao Saxui and Haruji's level, these standard combat armors were useless, especially when they were fighting each other. Alright. Ready. Start. The moment the battle began, Haruji's figure swayed slightly before he suddenly disappeared on the spot. Of course, this was the perspective of an ordinary person. From Zutua's perspective, Haruji did not disappear. Instead, he directly fused into the ground. It was extremely strange. And Zhao Saxui, who was wearing a blue mask, had a cold look in her eyes. She only stomped her foot slightly. A wave of mind power that went deep into the ground instantly blasted towards Haruji's location with incomparable precision. In the next moment, Haruji jumped out of the ground in a sorry state. His body flashes rapidly. Every time his body flashed, it was like the flashing characters on a computer screen. The moment it flashed, Haruji actually disappeared. Although it was extremely short, the moment it flashed, Haruji's body and mind disappeared. This shocked Zutui, who was watching the battle. Didn't that mean that no attack could lock onto Haruji? As he flashed, Haruji flicked his fingers. Every time he flicked his fingers, there would be a shocking explosion in front of Zhao Saxui. However, an invisible barrier would block any attack from him, but this did not stop him from approaching Zhao Saxui during the attack. A long bone blade that flickered with a metallic luster had already grown out of his elbow and palm. It looked extremely terrifying. Haruji was actually a dual cultivator of the extreme branch and the mystery branch. And Zhao Xu's eyes were filled with disdain as she watched Haruji advance. 20 days ago, Haruji had injured her while she was exhausted. But 20 days later, and Zhao Xu's gaze turned sharp. Her silver hair, which was tied into a ponytail, swayed. Hundreds of silver light spots instantly flew out from behind Zhao Saxui. Every silver dot of light was formed by a small piece of Zhao Xu's silver hair. Her extremely fine hair shot out at high speed, trailing silver light. However, there was no sound. Just looking at it made one panic. Haruji's expression changed when he saw this. He had to be careful and defend with all his might. He gently pushed his hands forward. Under the coordination of his mind power, an invisible energy field suddenly erupted, directly condensing into a force field in front of him that merged with his mind power. It lay across the path that Zhao Xu's silver hair was flying towards him. This force field that lay across Zhao Xu's attack path could crush any force or object that passed through it, whether it was mental, physical, or energy. This was Haruji's strongest defense. And Zhao Saxui sneered at this. She gently spread out the fingers of her intact right hand. In an instant, the hundreds of silver hairs that were attacking Haruji suddenly trembled at a strange frequency. As it trembled, the silver hair disappeared into thin air. Prav, the referee in charge of the India sector, suddenly opened his half-closed eyes. His eyes were shining. At the same time, nearly 300 short silver hairs appeared again. However, this time, it appeared a meter in front of Haruji. It even maintained its high-speed attack posture. Haruji was stunned. The moment confusion and shock appeared in his eyes. The 200 strands of silver hair instantly blasted into Haruji's body at high speed. The distance of 1 meter was too short and the appearance was too sudden. It was too fast. The moment it appeared, it had already blasted into Haruji's body. In the blink of an eye, Haruji was pierced by nearly 200 silver hairs. His upper body was instantly covered in needles. The 200 strands of silver hair disappeared into Haruji's body. No! There were exceptions. The silver hair that was aimed at Haruji's head and was enough to take his life was inexplicably blocked. Haruji's head looked like it was covered by an invisible helmet. And Zhao Xu's silver hair only managed to penetrate a millimeter into the invisible helmet before it was unable to move forward. However, only about 100 short silver hairs were concentrated on Haruji's head. There were also another 100 short silver hairs that exploded below Haruji's neck. Even someone as strong as Haruji let out muffled groans of pain. If Prav, the referee on duty in the India sector, interfered, it meant that Haruji had already lost this battle. However, and Zhaoxu's attack did not end there. Explode! Under the blue mask, and Zhao Saxui softly spat out the word explode. In an instant, the 100 strands of silver hair that had just entered Haruji's body exploded at the same time. The first to explode was actually the 100 strands of silver hair on the invisible barrier that the referee in charge of the India sector, Prav, had lowered to protect Haruji. Every tiny strand of silver hair exploded into a ball of silver light the size of a walnut. It caused the invisible barrier protecting Haruji's head to tremble, but it could not explode. However, the 100 short silver hairs that had entered Haruji's body exploded in real time. What did that mean? It meant that a silver light the size of a walnut erupted from Haruji's upper body. The silver light that exploded did not look big, but it was extremely powerful. There were loud bangs. The surface of Haruji's upper body was instantly reduced to mush. The ribs in his chest exploded into several pieces. A large hole was blasted open by the silver light in his chest and abdomen, revealing his squirming stomach. At the same time, a huge hole appeared in Haruji's chest. His blood-red heart and pink lungs were instantly revealed. Some sharp-eyed people saw that there were a few strands of silver hair stuck in Haruji's lungs and heart. However, these strands of silver hair did not explode. If these silver hairs exploded, Haruji would definitely die. With the current medical technology, the heart and lungs could be saved. However, if the heart and lungs were blown into pieces, no one could save him. They did not even have the chance to place the artificial heart. However, the problem was that the short silver hair that could have killed Haruji did not explode. Only then did everyone see clearly that there were short silver hair stuck in several vital spots, including Haruji's liver. However, none of them exploded. Not only did it not explode, but the short silver hair that had pierced Haruji's vital parts was also slowly receding. On the other side of the arena, and Zhaoxu's silver hair curled up into the air. This was because she had pushed her mind power to the limit. Almost at the same time, the 11 silver-haired roots that had pierced Haruji's vital points suddenly trembled violently. It seemed to be in between exploding and not exploding. In the arena of the India sector, Prav suddenly widened his eyes. A wave of majestic mind power hung down like a knife. In an instant, it wanted to cut off the mental connection between Zhao Saxui and the silver hairs which had pierced into Haruji's body. That's a little too much. Wei Dejiang, who was the referee for the Wuxia sector, reached out his hand. In an instant, an invisible explosion sounded in the air. Prav and Wei Dejiang swayed at the same time. At the same time, a short silver hair that was stuck in Haruji's lungs also broke through Prav's restraints and instantly exploded. However, with Prav's mind power binding it, the power of the explosion was not great. Seeing this, Prav, who was on duty in the arena, no longer hesitated. He suddenly flicked the bronze bell hanging at his waist. Almost the moment the voice sounded, everyone's mind power shook. And Zhao Saxui was also greatly affected. The silver hair that was originally standing upright suddenly trembled. Her mind power must have been interrupted. Taking advantage of this opportunity, a strange light flashed in Prav's eyes. The short silver hair that had been stabbed into Haruji's heart, lungs, liver, and other vital parts instantly withdrew from his body. The danger was averted. However, Haruji's injuries were not light at all. There was almost no good flesh on his upper body. He had lost a few ribs too. There were varying degrees of injuries in his lungs, stomach, and intestines. This was definitely extremely painful. However, Haruji was still awake. Even though Haruji was shameless, he was also a tough guy. He bit his lip hard to prevent himself from letting out a scream. Blood kept flowing out of the corner of his mouth, and sweat poured down his forehead. However, he bit his lip and did not make a sound. Haruji's lips have been bitten into pulp. Although he was severely injured, he did not bleed much. The main reason was that Prav had interfered. Then, with a gentle wave of his hand, Prav wrapped Haruji up and sent him straight to the ambulance. You can treat him on the spot. I'll use my mind power to control his injuries and bleeding. Prav whispered as if what he had just experienced was not a bloody battle. The competition was over. The emergency medical personnel would naturally do their best to treat Haruji. To an ordinary person, this was almost a serious injury. However, Haruji was under the control of Prav. He would not die, he just had to suffer more and have a longer recovery period. Seeing that the medical staff had begun to treat him, Prav slowly landed on the arena. He first pressed his palms together and bowed to Anjauk Saksui. Anjauk Saksui saw that she no longer had the chance to kill the shameless Haruji. She glared coldly at Prav, who had just landed on the ground, before turning around abruptly. She took a step forward, left the arena, and once again stepped into the air toward the guest area. That's all you've got? No wonder you don't dare to challenge me through official channels. You only dare to sneak around in the special Weibo circle. It's a joke. Angshakshu sneered and left the arena. In an instant, thunderous applause sounded outside the arena. Many students even used their communication devices to project the words "Long live the masked goddess" and "The masked goddess is invincible." Prav remained silent, waiting for the thunderous applause to die down before he spoke to Anjakshu's back. "Professor N, I'm sorry. I interfered too much just now, but it's still a life. Please forgive me." After saying that, without waiting for Anjakshu's response, Prav bowed slightly to Wei Dejiang. He did not say anything. He had already received his intentions. Finally, Prav bowed slightly in the direction of the rostrum and pressed his palms together. "Haruji is not skilled and does not know etiquette. He has offended the teachers of your school. I will bring him back and discipline him more. Later, we will offer you 5 types of mutated creatures that are unique to the India sector. We will give you 10 of each species as an apology." On the rostrum, Wen Xinglan from the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College also stood up and bowed slightly to Prav. He smiled and said, "Master is wise and clear-minded. You're naturally a person of courtesy. However, you still had to discipline people like Haruji. I was never worried that he would hurt the flowers and plants of Wuxia when they came to our Wuxia sector to cause trouble. However, it would not be good if they lost their lives. As for the compensation, Anjauk Saksui won it. As the principal, I will pass it on to Research Institute number 14. Hearing this, Prav bowed slightly in Wen Xinglan's direction again. "Thank you. I've learned a lot.